Hi, I'm Nicole Kemper. I'm a writer, actor, and filmmaker living in Atlanta, Georgia. This is 50 Foot Woman, and I've committed to shooting at least one roll of motion picture film per month. So recently I did a video about working with 88 Film, which is a form of motion picture film that precedes Super 8 film. So if you want to know more about that, you can check out that video. So in this video, I'm actually going to be taking the raw footage that I looked at in the previous video, and I'm going to be bringing it into DaVinci and trying to brighten up some shots, really, just see what I can do with it. Maybe we'll play around with the contrast or the saturation. We'll kind of see where this takes us. Just to catch you guys up, if you didn't see the last video, I took my 88 camera to a neighborhood event called Porch Fest, which is when the entire neighborhood kind of becomes like a walking concert festival, and people play on porches and people come in from out of other neighborhoods, and it's a whole big thing. And so I didn't really have a lot of plans as to how, like, I didn't have a shot list or any plans for how to shoot this. I just, popped this little guy into my purse, and I took this camera out with me and just kind of filmed things as I was walking around. And I had a microphone clipped to my purse. And so I was like, well, can I use some of this audio that I've recorded while I was walking around? And it presented some interesting challenges, which I'm going to talk about. So that's what we're talking about in this video. We're going to do a little color grading. We're going to talk a little bit about working with some of the sound that I recorded, and we're just going to kind of take a look at the editing process. Okay, so I've already got a sequence cut together here with some of the sound that I recorded, as well as the footage. So as you can see, quite a lot of files that I recorded, quite a bit more than the actual film, of course. So I shot this at 16 frames per second. So we ended up with about 4 minutes total of film. So basically, I kind of went through and listened to everything. So here's a little bit of one of the bands. And so you can hear that it's not like so much a high quality recording of the band itself, but it is from the perspective of me, because I've got the microphone on, I'm standing sort of across the street. You can hear the people around me. I ended up not including this really in the cut that I did, but you can hear me and my husband talking and us talking to other people. And so what I was going for was to have a sort of, the sound is from the point of view of the person who's experiencing the event. So I kind of went through everything, looked for some parts of the bands playing, but also some sounds of us just kind of walking around. And I really tried to, I ended up starting with the sound. I was like, okay, I need to know what sound am I going to use? And that might help me kind of motivate, in what order am I going to cut this? Because I didn't necessarily just slap the whole thing in there and just kind of trim it out. I did kind of have some thought of, oh, well, I could put a shot of Chris here. I could put a shot of the flowers blowing in the wind here. I could put this band here and that band there. So I did do a little bit of reordering again to try. I had this impulse to try to create some kind of narrative out of it. I don't know that it has a narrative, but I tried to sort of recreate the experiences as best I could with the footage that I shot. So once I had the sound in there, then I had to think about how do I transition? And there wasn't really any clear way to do that other than to say cross dissolve from one band to another, or from one environment to another. It's kind of a tradition. So I ended up working with a couple of different cross dissolves. I tried a few different ones, having them, they're both a point where they're both kind of overlapping each other, ended up being sort of the best sound in my opinion. So as one is going, one is being replaced by the other, but noticeably. So noticeably that they're replacing each other, not in a way where we're trying to blend them, because that really didn't make any sense. And I just kind of played around with that alignment until something sort of felt like kind of right to me. Now the bikes, I didn't want to add too much like sound effects. So the video that I released last week, which was just some footage that I had shot at the zoo with my family, and that was actually the first the first 25 feet that I shot through this camera. I added a lot. This is the thing that happens with sound design. I feel like the more sound you add, the more you realize is missing, and you're like, oh, well, I should add that and add that. I really didn't want to do anything like that with this particular video. I didn't want to add footsteps or crowd chatter or applause or anything like that. But when I got to the bikes, I did feel like I did want to add a little bit, just a little bit of bikes in there, and I'll just isolate that for a second. So under the sound that I recorded on location, I did add a little bit of bikes, and here I actually doubled up 2 bikes because there were multiple people, and it felt like that needed to have more than one. Just really kind of going with what sounded right to me, and it felt like it added a little bit of something just to have that sound of the bikes in there. Not a lot, but just something. And I kind of liked the way that felt, so I decided to keep it in. So that was pretty much it for the sound design. I would say that I probably could have done more. I probably could have done less, but I felt pretty good, at least for this initial experiment. The recording device that I used is this Zoom F2BT, and the BT stands for Bluetooth. And it is a sort of a lavalier microphone connected to a recording device. So the recorder and the microphone are one piece. There's no transmitter and receiver situation. I'm actually using it right now, and I use this for all of my videos, all of these videos that I do for 50 Foot Woman. So I just had this kind of clipped to my bag, and I wasn't really sure like how it was, because usually if you just have like a standard lavalier, it's not really supposed to pick up all this other sound around you. But because of the way that these are designed, it's looking for, it's auto adjusting itself. But if I'm not speaking, it's going to automatically kind of adjust what it's picking up so that it's raising the volume a bit, so it's picking up what's around me. So I feel like it did a pretty good job of that, and I think that it did at least sort of capture from the point of view of the camera what it would sound like from the distance that we were at from these bands. Okay, so I think I'm gonna take this into DaVinci, and let's see what we can do. As far as what I'm hoping to get out of this, there's a couple of shots here, like this shot of this particular band on the porch. I'd like to brighten this up a bit. This here. Anytime I was kind of, anytime we were sort of in the shade, with that 40 ISO, it did, even wide open, it did, and I don't think I actually was wide open. I think I was a little cautious about blowing out the image a bit. I did have a light meter up on my phone, and it's been a while since I shot this, but if I recall, I don't think I was wide open. But I think with a negative film, we should be able to do something with this to just to brighten it up a bit. And then there's some other instances where maybe we're a little too bright, although I do think there's something kind of nice about that almost too bright feeling there, so I don't know if I want to mess with it too much. And then there's a couple shots where the band, the exposure is a little inconsistent between this shot, and so I want to do something about that. So we'll see. We're going to take it into DaVinci, and we're going to see how it goes. All right, so here we are in DaVinci, and I'm just going to do a few of these shots. Of course, I'm going to do all of them on my own, but I'm just going to pick a few trouble shots and see what we can do with them here. So first thing I've done is here I've created a serial node because I like to keep all of my I like to do all of my corrections on separate nodes so I can go back and kind of adjust them individually. So let's start with the exposure, and let's just I'm going to start by adjusting the highlights. So let's just pull that up a little bit. So we're getting a little bit, I don't want to push it too hard because that might get us, it might get a little noisy. So let's see, maybe we'll bump up the midtones a bit. Okay. And then of course we don't want to lose out on the shadows. So I'm going to adjust that. We're just going to kind of keep playing with it a little bit. Maybe it's okay if we go a little too far, and then at some point we decide that we want to. So just by adjusting the exposure, I feel like that brought out a lot of color as well. So let's see, I'm just going to see where we were before. So that's where we were before. And here you can see that even by not doing too much, because I don't want to go overboard here. So yeah, I feel like that looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. I think we could go a little further, but I think I'm pretty happy with this. All right, let's move on. So we also have these two shots. Sorry, these two shots that are quite different. So let's start with this one because that's if we're trying to match them up, we want to correct the one that you want to match it to first. So let's start with that. And for our exposure, and again, you can see signal's a little flat. We want to see the highlights reaching more towards the top and the shadows reaching more a little bit lower to the bottom. Avoiding this area on the scope because that's just kind of showing us the sprockets. We're really just dealing with this right here in the middle. So let's see what happens if we go with the midtones first. Okay, it's looking pretty good. Maybe we pull up some of the highlights. Not too much. And we'll pull down some of the shadows. It's looking pretty good. I think I might actually increase the contrast a little bit, so let's do that. I feel like that's going pretty good. So here's just adding a little contrast. Here's where we started, and here's where we are. Feeling like that's pretty good. Let's warm it up a little bit like we did with the last shot. Brings out the trees. Yeah, pretty happy with that. So now we end up with something like this, which is looking pretty good. And this is where we started. And here's where we ended. So yeah, feeling pretty good about that. So now that we can see what we want it to look like, now we can adjust this one a bit more. And this one is very dark, so we'll just see what we can do here. So I'm actually gonna just start with the midtones here. Just pulling up those midtones. Okay, looking good. Pull up some highlights. And of course we don't wanna lose the shadows. Okay, let's compare the two. Okay, looking pretty good, especially considering this is what we started with. I feel like we're doing pretty good here. This one still is, so this is much warmer than this shot. Let's play with the color just a bit. Maybe cool it down just a skosh, although I like how warm this is, so I might go the other direction with the other shot. Well, it was an October day, so it does make sense. So I'm going to come back to this one and adjust slightly. See if we can match the other one a bit more with the color. Sometimes it can help to go back and play it, even if the other ones aren't graded yet, just to get a little perspective. Okay, I'm feeling pretty good about that. So I think I'm going to leave that there for now. And it's totally possible as I go through and adjust other shots that I come back to these and make some more tweaks. But right now I'm feeling like we did a pretty good job here of matching these two when so this one kind of, again, this one kind of started out like that. And this one started out much darker. And I feel like we did a pretty good job of bringing those up to sparkling, but also matching these two guys up. Woo!
It's kind of a tradition that we end every little porch fest with this one, even if it's
And that's pretty much how it went. Some reflections on working with this 8/8 film that I shot at Porch Fest. I think one word that I can use to describe the edit is chaotic. I didn't really have a lot of plans for how I was planning to record this. I wasn't, trying to make any kind of rockumentary or anything. I was really just kind of taking my camera around and trying to just kind of capture the experience. And I think in some ways that's what I did. We were having a nice day. It was in the fall, and the weather was still really nice, as it tends to be here in October in Atlanta. I was out with somebody, a person that I love. We were enjoying music. We were having a good time. The community was enjoying the day. I hope that comes through in the very short, little bite-sized piece that you're going to get of that. I would say that in the future, one thing that I wish I had done is I wish that I had recorded more of the bands a little more close up. I think I was trying to stay really incognito, and I had a very small camera, so people weren't really paying any attention to me. But I do wish that I'd gotten a little bit closer to the action. I definitely feel like you get the sense of like an observer who's standing from a distance watching the bands, which is what it's like when you're there. But I think I was probably a little nervous about getting a little too close, drawing attention to myself, and maybe I just need to get over that and maybe just get a little closer to the action next time. Overall, I was really happy with the images that came back. I really like this film stock. Again, it's a color negative 40 ISO, and I think because this camera is such a small gauge, because it's even smaller than Super 8, it's 16 millimeter kind of cut in half. And because it's such a small gauge, I think it really benefits from a film with a lower ISO that has, you know, less grain. I've got some other rolls that I've shot, one of which I did release just a little bit of the footage that I shot. It was a black and white 100 ISO at the zoo, and you can see that you're getting when you're getting up even into 100, it's a lot more grain. You're getting a little less detail. I was really surprised with the amount of detail that came from this particular film stock, as were some other folks that commented on my last video, saying, wow, you know, I really didn't think that 8.8 could yield images like this. So it just kind of boggles my mind that this camera is so old. Like, what has it been through? What has it seen? What kinds of memories and other things has it recorded in the past? And here it is, all these years later, in my hands as I walk around my neighborhood recording this sort of neighborhood music festival. It's pretty amazing. Thanks for watching this video. If you liked what you saw, I hope that you'll subscribe to the channel. Check out some of my other videos in the 50-Foot Woman playlist if you haven't watched them already. And, you know, stay tuned for more content about shooting with motion picture film, Super 8 film, 8.8 film, and even a little 16mm film, which I'll be getting into in a couple of weeks. If you'd like a little bit more, I also have a blog on Substack where I share these videos, but also still photography, photo walks, and things like that. And you can find the link to that Substack blog in the description of this video. Well, here in Atlanta, it's getting nice again. The weather's starting to warm up, the skies are clearing up, and all those fun arts festivals and music festivals and community events are coming back. And I'm looking forward to getting out there with my camera and you know, capturing some more of what's going on around me. So I hope that, like me, you are finally emerging from your winter cave. So get out there, don't forget to bring your camera, and let's shoot more film, you guys.